You're listening to Cinema Snarks. I'm Larry,
And I'm Ren.
and we are going to tell you how we really feel. And today, we're telling you how we feel about Free Guy and star Ryan Reynolds' filmography. Yes, I mean,
Let's be real,
basically.
that's how I feel to my core about Ryan Reynolds, but additionally,
Well, he's back, not as Deadpool, though he did do a advertisement for Free Guy as Deadpool next to Korg, Taika Waititi, and they reacted to the Free Guy trailer. So that's fun. We're clearly, as Free Guy will tell you, we are entering the age of Fox being fully integrated in Disney's properties. So
yeah.
there we go. But Free Guy tells the story of an NPC known only as Guy, who one day meets a girl who sparks a new level of freedom in his little computer mind. Soon, he is doing everything to impress this girl and help her on her mission to find a secret land embedded within the game's structure. So, Free Guy, we both actually saw this last night, not together.
Randomly on our own.
Randomly on our own. But yes, this is actually a bit of a surprise review for us. We didn't necessarily have this planned out until we figured out we both saw it last night.
Yeah.
Also, sorry for the week delay. We did not have anything up last week. I was in Texas for a whole week. Ren is doing what she does outside of this, is putting on plays.
And the Bottom's Forgotten Fairy Tales.
Yeah.
You should come see it.
So make sure you're following Audacious and
Audacious Theater.
Yeah, Audacious Theater. Sign up for their email list so that you are up to date with all the locations and times and such, because there will still be a couple more shows you have the opportunity to watch. But that show has been running the last couple of weekends as well. So sometimes life gets in the
right now.
Yeah, sometimes life gets in the way a little bit, and thus we had to take a week off, but we are back. And what a fun little movie to come back to. Yeah.
Yep. Very, very cute, very sweet.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. It was an enjoyable movie watching experience. After thinking about it, there are many problems. It's not a perfect piece of film by any means, but it is a good summer film. I feel like it's the sort of thing that you want to go and like sit in an air conditioned movie theater and laugh and enjoy Ryan Reynolds being simultaneously hot and charming and sweet and funny.
Yeah, it was like peak Ryan Reynolds in many ways in this film. He got to just like do what he does really well. And it pretty much is like the crux of the film. If it wasn't Ryan Reynolds in that lead role and it was somebody, pretty much anyone else, because Ryan Reynolds is a comedian, but he has just such a
very specific sense of humor.
It's a very specific brand he's kind of created that is not really available anywhere else. Like, so,
and it ports over to his real life too, right? Like if you follow him on any sort of social media.
Him and Blake Lively,
yeah,
their relationship. But it works so well here specifically. Also, I happen to love Mariah Carey, and the way that Fantasy is kind of the breakout surprise star of the film.
Yeah, as I was like coming out of the movie theater, I was like standing with my husband and his cousin and her partner that we had just been seeing the movie with, and we hear Fantasy. Someone else who'd just seen the movie was like playing Fantasy on their little bike as they were getting ready to go, and I had like already been thinking in my head, I was like, I gotta put that Butterfly album on as we're driving home. That's just so good. Like,
now the real question is, had Patrick heard Fantasy before the film?
Yes. I mean, it's pretty ubiquitous. I think it was like a worldwide hit. So
we just have to make sure. That's always like one of the metrics I use. I bounce off of Ren
thing, or it's important to know. He did, yes, he had heard of Mariah Carey. He was aware.
Good.
I don't think it was as So like, right, because it's the favorite of this girl who's presumably roughly like my age. Like
Yeah.
she seems like she's probably in her like early 30s ish, late 20s. Or I'll tell you exactly how old I am. I'm 34. I seem much younger. But anyways, it felt like a very appropriate song for someone in that age demographic to like have latched onto and hold on to. Although they did call it vintage Mariah Carey, and I was like, I don't know if that feels appropriate.
I mean, it is over 20 years now, Ren. We're vintage. Yes. So we're getting to the point where we ourselves are vintage. So the stuff we grew up on, I guess, is vintage.
I guess.
Meanwhile, though, Mariah had already had almost a decade of hits under her belt before Fantasy came out.
So I would never refer to anything that was like from my childhood as like vintage. I don't know. That just seemed all right. That seems like a young person wrote this script, and then
Gen Z considers us very vintage, Ren. Anything from the 90s is vintage, Ren. So, so the plot of this film basically is about an NPC gaining purpose in his life. And that's kind of the like overall theme of the film, is kind of finding that purpose / a romance, which I always can do it. That's why I was like, I'm always a little cynical when it comes to that. But
so we can get into this. So I usually kind of like a romance, and I get it, but I really felt like it was unnecessary in this film in a lot of ways. And like, it was kind of necessary, but honestly, I wish they had found ways to explore the more interesting questions that this film brings up in ways that were not dependent on this love story, that also like didn't really make a lot of sense. If you like pull at it at the string even a little bit, it doesn't make any sense anymore.
They didn't go full Groundhog's Day. They kind of play a little bit, obviously, with the idea that he just lives the same day over and over for brief little moments. But how did you like the setup of this just general idea?
I love the idea. I think I really enjoy it from so I'm a sucker for like a video game themed film where you're like inside a video game. I thought that's really fun. I think I often just kind of like in my brain think about when I'm watching movies or action movies about like, what is the lives of these random people on the street? Like, how many people have just like lost a loved one, or like, how does this affect all these other people? And so I like the idea of thinking about an NPC for a second, of thinking about like what this character's life would be like. And I also enjoyed the philosophical questions around it. Like there's lots of movies that explore this in a much less entertaining way, which is basically the like AI question of like, at what point does artificial intelligence become real? When does its sense of itself make it a living thing? Like, where is that life? What is real? What is not? So I liked the concept already. I was delighted by it from the beginning. I thought it was going to be like an entertaining film. I also think that Ryan Reynolds now at this point in his career, I feel pretty safe trusting that anything that he's in is going to be entertaining. Because I think he's gotten to a point in his career where he is calling the shots about like what he wants to do. He's like choosing the movies that he wants to like help produce and get out there. And I think he has good judgment. I think his agent did not have great judgment early on, but we will get into that. But yeah, I felt confident going into this that it was going to be an enjoyable time, even if it was like, I finished this movie and thought to myself, well, even while I was watching it, I was like, this is what Ready Player One should have been. Like, it just like, it sucks because Ready Player One is that there's lots of people that hate the book. They're like, they just want to like, I don't know. People don't like to have fun sometimes. I don't know. People like to be snobs. Ready Player One is like fun, nostalgia, sort of very video game, like poking at all your little like nostalgia buttons.
Yeah.
And it deals with the real world versus the non-real world. It's good, fun, video gamey fun. But the movie was not fun. The movie was like a hot mess of boringness. And this was fun. This was a lot of like, there's just these little touches, right? Like I love when you look at the background and there's that one character just jumping. There's like somebody is like, that's me a lot of the time where I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just like jumping and facing the wall. There's just these little nuggets everywhere you see these very relatable video gamey moments. So yeah, I went into it very excited about it. What about you, Larry? What were you thinking?
I went in excited as well, just because it looked, like you said, fun. It looked like a funny film. And I generally like Ryan Reynolds, even if I don't love the film he's in. He's one of those people who, like, I don't know, he's just so endearing in everything.
Yes.
So I figured at the least I would have a good time with it. And that's pretty much where I was. I was like, I thought this was fun. I thought this was cute. It did what I needed it or went in expecting it to do, basically. Some people are like, of course, take it overboard, talking about life affirming and all this. And I'm like, no. But not for me, at least. If it affirmed your life, good on you. But
it was sweet, and it was like it was a joyful experience. There was lots of very nice things about it.
It could have been life affirming, as you said. It just didn't. It didn't explore those.
There were moments, yes, and yes. So I think the parts of the movie that worked the best for me were Ryan Reynolds as Guy. Guy is just an adorable character. Amazing. He fits perfectly with his type, the way that he is as an actor, just like right on. And his friendship with Buddy, his like best friend. Those things work really, really well. And they are the heart of the film. They are the like center of what makes it an enjoyable, interesting experience. Because the plot is kind of like it's rough. Yeah. It doesn't really make a whole lot of coherent sense, and it's okay. It doesn't really. It's fine as a vehicle for Ryan Reynolds' character.
Yeah.
And
I think that's the thing. It's like everything to do with Taika Waititi's character, and
weird. Yeah. Let's talk about the things that like don't work for me. So I will say I really enjoy Taika Waititi, just like as a director, as a performer. He's great. One of the things I really enjoyed about him in this film was his physicality. He made like some very strong choices about like how he was gonna move his hands the whole time. It was like very that guy. So I really enjoyed that about him. I did feel a little bit weird about them villainizing the two people of color that were in the movie. And then the oppressed ones were the two white kids, the two like 20-something white kids who had their games stolen.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of a weird choice. Like
that friend character, the developer friend, was a very strange character to me, actually. He was a very weird development. I don't know. He was weirdly written.
He was very weirdly written. His arc made no sense. None. It was like he like suddenly flipped, and it didn't make a lot of sense. Why?
Well, because they didn't show signs of that flipping early. Like, you know, they didn't build it this like internal turmoil in him until way late in the film.
Yeah, he's a straight up like evil villain sidekick for the majority of the film. So yeah, I thought that was weird. I thought those characters are very weirdly developed. So I felt kind of like uncomfortable with that. I think there's probably something kind of weird about how like his Buddy is his black best friend. I don't know. So there's like they even like make a joke about the white privilege. One character talks about it. So like it's not like the writer was unaware of these concepts, but then just kind of like rolled through and did it anyway.
That's usually the worst. When you're aware, you make it clear you're aware, and then you just do it anyway. That usually sets up for the worst. So
so that was kind of a weird thing for me. I also didn't really buy the love story. It didn't make a lot of sense. The unrequited love story of it, like that didn't make a lot of sense to me. I'm like, I don't understand why the two characters are not together. I don't understand why this is supposed to be a surprise to her, like later on. It just
apparently she's just so oblivious. I don't understand.
like, yeah, and it's like it was like unbelievably oblivious.
Like way overboard.
Yes, exactly. And they also they just didn't explain it, right? Like you understand right from the very beginning, it's a boy and it's a girl and they're roughly the same age and they're partners. Like obviously there's a thing going on. It's like a cinematic obviousness thing, right? We can't have platonic people together that are of two opposite genders that are just work cohorts. No. So that is like very obvious from the beginning, but they like basically kind of set it up as they're not together because they're just friends. And that is not enough of a reason for him pining for her as his dream woman, their entire friendship, and she's completely oblivious and he never says anything except for like he never says anything, period. So I thought that was weird. It does like give the setup for Guy.
And the timeline is weird too, I think, at the beginning, because we get this flashback video that they did this interview, and we're shown the video from, I don't know, it was like 2016 or 15 or something like that.
Yeah.
But then it's not really clear. He goes to work for this terrible company who like rips them off, but
yeah,
their friendship in the interim it doesn't really make sense that like she's like breaking into his house. I don't know. Their relationship to start the film off doesn't make much sense at all.
Yes. It seems like at the beginning of the film that there must have been some sort of a falling out between the two of them, that he like doesn't talk to her at all, but then he pretty immediately is like helping her. So I don't know. It just seems that was all it was just like Swiss cheese plot holes everywhere. It just didn't make a lot of like logical sense in terms of like the characters and what was going on. So those parts didn't
everything
work.
in the game was a lot more fun.
Yes,
than
totally.
Everything outside of the game was okay.
Yeah,
but in the game it was a lot more fun because again we're just following around Guy, and Guy is a lot of fun. Even as he's like making a career out of being the good guy.
And like
helping people.
Like oh my god, what is that game? Where you rob the cars?
Oh, Grand Theft Auto.
Yes, it's it's basically like a Grand Theft Auto like universe. It's basically so where it's like robbing things and punching people is like key, and it's basically like a Grand Theft Auto MMO. So it's like, you know, everyone can kind of be a part of this world, and they come in and they can you know, kill and steal, and that's the missions that they play. So and the world is much more fun because it's a video game world. And but even when he's stuck in his NPC loop, that's more fun and is more interesting to explore. So I mean, I guess I you know, I didn't write the movie, and I'm not saying I could have done better. Just like I don't know how they might have created this new reality for him. It does feel a little lame that it was love.
Always. It usually is to me.
I had a crush on her. I also thought it was like weird that like so she starts to fall for Guy because he likes all the same things as her. So it's almost like she's like, there's something weird and pathological about like she cannot date anyone except for somebody that is basically her, that likes exactly the same things, likes all the swings, likes the bubblegum thing, is into this song. Like he wrote this character to want specifically like her things and to be like kind of specifically like the same things as her. So that's a little bit weird and pathological. We also just like don't understand why she's an outcast. Like I think that's another thing I always have a problem with in films, is when it's like I'm a pretty white girl and I just don't fit in. Like, no, you fit in. Stop it. Or cast somebody who's not a pretty white girl. Honestly, and this is me being a little biased, cast somebody who weighs more than 110 pounds. That alone, you could do a pretty girl that weighs more than 110 pounds and will believe that she spent her entire life feeling like she's not good enough. I don't buy hot girl that's hot in the reality world and in the real world is like, so, and that was another thing that fucking Ready Player One did a shitty job of, is in Ready Player One, in the book, the girl, he falls in love with this girl in the fake video game world, and she's super hot. And then he meets her in real life, and she's got like this birthmark disfigurement thing. And they did it in the movie, but they still took like a really pretty girl and they gave her like the tiniest little thing on her face. Like, it's the most easily ignorable thing. But then I'm supposed to believe that it's one of the most obnoxious things that Hollywood does with women, is tries to tell me that gorgeous female actresses are
not
yeah, not gorgeous,
beautiful,
pretty, super cute. So I think I just had trouble with every character that wasn't one of the video game characters, like relating to them enough to care about their struggles. I do think the dude from I like that the actor from Stranger Things, the little he's kind of like, he's like Gen X's Ferris Bueller. He's like, sorry, not Ferris Bueller. Oh my God, who's the actor?
Oh my God.
Why am I
Broderick?
Matthew Broderick. Yes, he's like the new Matthew Broderick. I think he's got like a cute sort of thing going on. I enjoy his little. I liked the like weird mustache thing. I wish they would have played more with the video game world and like these people in the video game world. But they pretty quickly shifted like half of the movie into the outside world, which was just it wasn't as funny and it wasn't as engaging.
We definitely cared more about like, and that's the thing, is in the film, you start to care more about not wanting Ryan Reynolds' character to get deleted from life, more so than the vindication of the real world people. Like, they both have a problem that coincide, that they rely on each other, but the only reason we really care to see it succeed is for the Ryan Reynolds side. Great, get your credit, but we don't really care about you in the real world. So I don't think we should talk about them, but I did find all of the cameos fun and funny in this film.
Yeah.
There is one in the third act that I was completely unprepared for, and it comes when
so good. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about, and I think anybody who's seen the movie knows.
I was not prepared for it. I also was not prepared. I guess I didn't realize the timeline of this film. I was not prepared for Disney to cross over their other properties into this film, because that happens. I guess I was like,
we came out and Patrick was like, how did they get rights to all of those things? I was like, they are all one giant corporation now, Patrick. He's like, well, I guess it's Disney owns, they own Star Wars now too, don't they?
They own it all.
And Marvel. Oh yeah.
DC, watch out. If Warner Brothers don't get it together, DC. But I thought it was fun, because I know people get so uppity, and people got uppity about that with Space Jam as well, and that was the funnest part of Space Jam to me, and I thought it was really fun here. The crossover stuff. I don't understand why people get upset when their nostalgia buttons are pushed. How dare you try to show me something I liked? And it's fun here. Like, it's not in your face in this film. Like, I wouldn't say they didn't try to like make it a big ad for Disney. Not even close. Not as much. I say I enjoyed it in Space Jam, and this was way less than Space Jam was in terms. And it was just cute. It was a cute little moment. It was, once again, it's in a video game. It was it was believable within the context of what we were doing. It was fun. Yeah. I also loved that Ryan Reynolds dude. Dude, yes. Ryan Reynolds getting to play a giant doofy version of himself is pretty great as well. The little action moments were fun in the video game, like, and that's just what it is for me. It was like, this was an easy breezy, fun little summer time. A good excuse to get back into 90s Mariah Carey.
Yes, for sure.
I never personally need much reminding of Mariah being great. But all you little Gen Zers out there,
if this was news to you, wow.
All of you little young folks that go watch Free Guy, I hope this inspires you to listen to 90s Mariah. Yes, add Mariah Carey to your Spotify playlist. If you liked fantasy, there's a lot more where that came from.
Yeah. I was like,
she was a hit machine.
Loved it. It was so good. It was so fun.
Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to say that was a little bit weird. Ryan Reynolds is too old for that actress. I love Ryan Reynolds. I am probably roughly that actress's age, and I would be happy to have Ryan Reynolds make out with me. But I think that we got to be careful with that old dude, young woman line, especially in this day and age, because it's creepy. And like, we need to move past this world where men are allowed to age into grandfatherhood and still be sexually appealing to just barely above child age women.
And the thing is, they kind of styled her and made her feel pretty young too. Like they didn't try to age her up. They more probably aged her down a little bit. And Ryan Reynolds, I mean, it's tough with him because he has this like forever youthfulness, not only in his face, but like in his personhood.
Yeah.
He just feels younger than he is. But certainly.
No, he is. So I'm just like looking at it. So he's born in 1976. She's born in 1993. So there's almost a 20-year gap between them. And that is weird.
He's almost as old as my mom. And I am just a tad older than her.
Now, again, have to reiterate, would do him in a second. Do not care about the age difference over here.
Listen.
But
do as I
matters.
No, in this instance, do as I say, not as I do.
Exactly. Well, I mean, like, whatever he wants to do. And that's the other thing. I whatever, people are adults, they can make their own decisions as long as they're adults. I just think that this is a squicky thing, and I think that it is a blind spot in this film that they did a lot of weird, like lightly squicky things that like anybody who is on the media criticism along the gender and racial spectrum thought processes could have some issues with. There's a lot of things there. But yeah, but all that being said, Ryan Reynolds is delightful. The video game is delightful. It's just fun. It's a fun movie. So I wouldn't, I think most people could enjoy it.
I'm not going 5 out of 5 stars like I'm seeing people. It's not gonna break my like best of, probably.
Give it a 4, probably a 3.5. I'd probably give it like a 3.5. I wouldn't even really give it a 4 because the plot is so very
3.5 for me, I think.
Like shaky, to say the best.
But Ryan Reynolds, so here we are, nearly almost about 20 years into his career, a little bit longer even. I think he started really doing stuff in the 90s.
Yes. So first fell in love with Ryan Reynolds way back in the olden days when he was on Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place.
I don't even know what that is.
That is how we know I am older than you, Larry. Every once in a while, there's like a little thing, and then
that just reminds you.
I am older than you. And like, and it's stuff like, at this point, it doesn't make that much of a difference, but like, it's stuff that like meant something to me at a point when I was watching TV. Like in 1998, you were how old?
I was 7.
You were 7. Yeah. In 1998, I was 11. So that's a difference. 11 is about the time as a little girl when you're starting to be like, that is attractive. That is it. I would like a handsome. Ooh, he's funny. And here's the thing. I would say that Ryan Reynolds on Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place, that is actually probably early on one of the best examples of his like sense of humor. That actually seemed like it seems like it's a pretty good representation of what his humor ended up being. And it took a very long time for him to like
find it again
to a point where like he's iconic, But yeah, I think that was pretty early on. Although I'm like scrolling through his little IMDb, and holy crap, this man has been working for a long time.
I just remember this crazy little film, and it features lots of naked Ryan Reynolds that I own. And it's probably the big reason I even own this disc for way back when. Ryan Reynolds has gotten naked a lot in his career, I will say that.
So it looks like he started out in some TV show called 15 back in 1993. So this has been working for a very long time.
I think of like the first good thing that I really liked Ryan Reynolds in. Like I said, Buying the Cow is the one I just showed, and I liked it, but for different reasons.
But Jerry Connolly that was in the is that who else is in that?
Buying the Cow? Yeah, it was Jerry Connolly and him. Jerry O'Connell.
Him as well at that particular point.
I just was like, whoa, look at this naked man running around. Van Wilder.
Oh yeah, that was a thing.
That
Waiting, he was in Waiting. That was really enjoyable.
Waiting, which is fun. Did you like Just Friends, Ren? Or did you hate it?
Not really. It's not like that funny, and his character is not very likable. None of the characters are very likable in that. It's not a movie where his charm gets to shine through at all.
No.
It's not great. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that. He had a big like romantic comedy.
It was like the weird God, because that was around, I feel like, the same time as like Shallow Hell. And it was like having those two movies was just very strange. I don't know. It was like, what are we doing here? Actually.
So I'm just like real quick reading through his little like biography. And as a general rule, I really love, there is so few of these anymore, but I really love when people don't come from an actor family already, when they haven't been a child actor their whole lives. Like Ryan Reynolds is a dude. He is a dude. He's a Canadian dude that apparently was his dad was a Royal Canadian Mounted Policeman. He was involved in acting at like age 13, but he was like involved in acting in the same way that I was, where I was like, I did plays when I was a child. And yeah, he just basically kept on working at it, went to college and then kept on working at it. And he's just been like going since then, just slowly but surely building it all up.
Yeah.
So I gotta appreciate that he's just like that work ethic, right? From that is the American dream right now, but he's Canadian. But it is the bootstrapping, which we agree is stupid, but also
yeah, I don't even know. Like I said, I don't know what is the proposal like really the first thing I can remember that I like really liked that he was in.
Yeah, I'm looking through his IMDb.
I love The Proposal. That's a rom-com that I just love, and I have a lot of nostalgia for.
Like, yeah, he was in a lot of like little tiny things for a while, and then Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place ran for a few seasons. So that kind of was like the thing that like launched him a little bit further in his career. Like he had a show that got picked up and ran for more than like a season, and then it looks like he did Van Wilder like right after that. And they said The In-Laws he was in like 2003. He was in Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle for a hot second as a male nurse. I feel like though probably around Van Wilder is when it felt like Ryan Reynolds started to be like a name that people just like recognized, even though it doesn't look like he was particularly like doing that much. But yeah, it seemed that's why I think The Two Guys, a Girl, and Pizza Place was like the place where he like launched off into being more of a known person. And then in 2004 he did Blade, which is just
the one that killed the franchise.
Killed the franchise.
It was Blade 3.
I mean, it had a good run.
It was terrible. The first two I love. I like really enjoy both Blades, and then Ryan Reynolds and that third one came out. He was also, I remember, in the remake of Amityville Horror sometime in that general area.
2005.
I think that was okay. I feel like that's a little bit unfairly maligned. I mean, it's not great, but the first one also is not
I
great.
feel like horror
let's be
movies are
clear.
like his jam. I don't feel like that's like quite right for him. He was in Waiting. I think that he tends to excel when he is like allowed to just be funny, goofy Ryan Reynolds. I think that is like that seems to be like who he is as a person. And I think some actors are really good at portraying a character, and it seems like Ryan Reynolds is really good at portraying himself.
Yes.
But that is a skill in and of itself to be able to like have a good personality shine through is that's a skill, and that is the thing that makes him great. And him, yes, exactly. Yep. And so then after Waiting, he's in Just Friends, which we just talked about. It was like okay. Smoking Aces, just some like little things. He shows up in some TV shows. Definitely Maybe. Do you remember that movie?
I remember the movie. I mean, his 2000s era was rom-com city.
Yes.
Like that's what he did.
I liked Definitely Maybe. I thought it was cute, but it was another one of those like rom-coms sort of things. Rachel Weisz is in it, and you love Rachel Weisz.
I do love Rachel Weisz.
Check it out. And Abigail Breslin back in the cute little days. Yes, back in the olden days. So that, I liked that one. I think I watched that one like a while ago. And then like, then he had his Wolverine.
Oh my God. To me, the worst in his filmography is Wolverine Origins. Even worse than Green Lantern is Wolverine Origins. I think it's just terrible.
Yeah. The Proposal, which we talked about.
Which I love.
That was great. I'm glad you like that one.
Betty White is great in it.
Oh, Betty White. I love her.
She is wonderful. And Sandra Bullock is fun.
Yeah. I like Sandra Bullock.
Another rom-com queen, Sandra Bullock.
And then so it looks like he has like a lot of weird kind of things in the middle here where it's like he did Green Lantern, and Green Lantern was not good. He just had like a really bad run for a while where like just nothing was that good. Between Blade and Green Lantern, he just kind of like
X-Men Origins.
Yes, and X-Men. Yeah, those three movies, and those were like the big movies he was in, right? So even if the Proposal that was in the middle was like good and enjoyable, it didn't matter because the movies it was like he got such a bad reputation out of those three things.
Yeah.
And then this man, this brilliant, wonderful, adorable man, remade himself as Deadpool.
He literally leaked footage of their test Deadpool movie that Fox did not want to make because he knew everyone would absolutely love what they had, and we did. And the fervor was so high that Fox said, okay, fine, I'll make the Deadpool movie and revitalize your career, and certainly revitalize the character of Deadpool to make up for that abomination we wrote. My everlasting hatred for D&D, the creators of Game of Thrones, also goes back to that because David Benioff wrote X-Men Origins Wolverine. He's responsible for that depiction of Deadpool.
These fucking men who make bad bullshit keep getting jobs. It is scandalous. Anyways.
But yes, so
the merc with a mouth, that is literally his like thing with a why?
This man decided it was a good plan to sew his mouth shut. So,
What?
What was that movie? I'm trying to remember. You have the list in front of you. What's the movie? It's like Buried or Alive.
Yeah, it was Buried.
That was actually really a fun movie. It was a little niche, weird movie where he's literally in a casket the entire film, talking to someone trying to get out. But it was actually pretty good. That's one of the weird little movies he did that I enjoyed.
Okay. See, then it makes me feel like he has spent a very long time trying to figure out knowing better. He has spent a long time knowing better, taking jobs he knows that are probably kind of shit, but like they pay a lot of money. Like I don't fault any actor for taking a job that pays them a crap ton of money and gets them into a huge movie. Like good for you. I don't care how bad the movie is. You do what you got to do. But it also seems like he he spent a decent amount of time knowing better, right? So buried is clearly something that like he didn't like get handed a bunch of money to do, but he was like, this will be a good thing for me to act in. This is going to give me an interesting sort of role to play. And he knew better. He knew what Deadpool needed to be. And I love that about him.
The origin of Deadpool getting made like that from him,
incredible.
Like from his pure will of wanting that character to get justice and to make what he knew was good. It's so good.
Yes. And now he's doing all of these. So, you know, and we've got Deadpool 2, but now he's also got like a production company and he's got like a cell phone company.
Who our friend who works with me has that company. She told me the other day, I didn't realize our friend Leslie was like, I got a Christmas card from Ryan Reynolds and was like, what the hell is this? And she's like, oh, it's because he owns the cell phone company I have.
Okay. So he's got a gin. That was the other thing he had. I knew he had like Mint Mobile and Aviation American Gin. Like,
got Rick Moranis to come out of retirement to do his commercial.
Yes, I just find he's delightful. I think he's really done an amazing sort of feat, especially in this time. Like, I think it was more common decades and decades ago to like have actors who were a personality in and of themselves that could like show up and like be themselves, and like you could sell the actor because he was his own thing. Like him being in those commercials is enough. Him running the cell phone company is enough. I can't really think of anybody like in the modern day who is comparable in any way, shape, or form. And I'm not to say that like he's some incredible actor, this incredible, like he's incredible. I think he's an incredible human. I think he is he seems like he works really hard. It seems like he is.
I forgot that while he was with Scarlett Johansson, they funded this little movie about the whale. It's what it's called. I own it. It's about a little killer whale story. Sorry. It just makes me like all the good things. Then I think he narrates at least a good portion of it. But yeah, he's somebody that you just root for. Even as he was going through all that crap, even with the Green Lantern, you just want him to succeed.
You're never like mad at him because he was
give him a better movie.
Like, oh, Ryan. Yeah. Ryan feels like your friend. He feels Ryan. We're on a first name.
Hey, Ryan.
He does. And I think he cultivates that. And I think that's also just, it seems everything I've heard about him is that he is a very nice, kind, good person. I've never heard a story of like Ryan Reynolds yelled at everyone on set. Like that sounds crazy, right? He's never going to pull a Christian Bale and just like freak out at someone for no good reason. I mean, partially I think it's like the Canadian thing, right? It's just like, oh, I would never yell at somebody like that. That's ridiculous. But I think there's also, he seems to be like just a genuinely nice person. And I think there's definitely something that comes from not living your entire life with tons of money and fame and like living in this kind of alternate Hollywood world where you actually are a human being. I
love his relationship with Hugh Jackman.
I think that is very funny and cute.
That constant back and forth with them. Yes. We talked about it a little bit. I love his relationship with Blake Lively. Yes, I think they are so fun online together.
They're a very cute couple.
I think they're more compatible, at least on the outside from us, than he and ScarJo were.
Do you remember when he dated Alanis Morissette for like a hot second?
I do not remember that at all.
It was like a big thing for like a while. I think they dated for like 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, they were engaged and everything. Him and Alanis Morissette.
That is a very weird couple.
They're both Canadian.
Got the Canada link up.
You know, like you do. Yeah, I mean, she was that was like, I think that was like a little bit after Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place. And that was like right around her sort of like blowing up as well. I think they blew up around the same time. So it kind of made sense. Like I remember that coupling. That to me is I actually forgot about Scarlett Johansson. I always remember that Alanis Morissette and Ryan Reynolds were a couple. I forget that he was married to Scarlett Johansson. Although I'm not thinking about like who Scarlett Johansson is married to now. And she certainly has like a type, like she really clearly likes the funny dudes.
Funny,
That bitch laugh.
generally attractive white dudes.
I don't know. I guess that guy is kind of attractive, the SNL dude.
He's good looking. He's like standard good looking white dude.
I think it was that I saw him in that stupid Tom and Jerry movie and was like,
Well.
is this what you're doing with your time? After I just said, if you want to be in a movie and make a bunch of money, like, I don't blame you.
Yeah, but how much money did he really make?
I couldn't have been very much. Also, the movie was just so bad. And
I mean,
like there was like at least, I don't know. It's not his fault. I'm not
another thing. I mean, we're talking about these actors. I do. Chloe Moretz has done it a little bit. She's not nearly as charismatic or anything, but I just think she is talented and has gotten stuck in this really bad place in her career. Like she desperately needs a hit. She desperately needs some Deadpool or something.
She should have she should have a little chat with Ryan Reynolds. I'm sure he'd love to talk to her.
Wow, that poor girl. I mean, I root for her too. Like I want Chloe to find a good role again. Kind of, or Idris Elba. We talked about him on our Suicide Squad.
Like it seems like one of the routes you need to take is just like start making your roles for yourself. Start like finding the things that you know that you're going to be good at and just going for it. And you know, honestly, I think that Chloe Grace Moretz is in a position where she can do that more. She is certainly not. She's not some rando 20-something actress that's just trying to get by. Like she's got chops. She's got a name recognition. She should at this point be able to like invest some money and make a cool film that she stars in. She can
and if it's trash then we know.
Yes, but like, you know, that's, you know, at some point when you have name recognition, you need to start making your own choices about the art that you make.
Yeah, I
think that's a fair thing to do. And also, like, if you start making money, you know, I can't remember, I watched something about it was it's a documentary about women in film and how they don't ever get jobs, but like she was talking about going on a set and like them telling her she was like 16 and them giving her like the chicken cutlets to put in her bra. Gosh. And I'm like, and so she's talking about how like this is super fucked up. She's 16 years old, like she's not even developed, and they're already like basically telling her that her body is like not good enough and she needs to like augment it. And so that's what I'm like, you know, once you're at the point in your career where you have some money, then you can start to do something a little bit more about it. You can start to say, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to hire a woman director. We're going to produce this film.
I do have to say, I love that about, again, I'm going to harken back a little bit to the Suicide Squad that'll be released next week. That's what I love about Margot Robbie. She actually, like she hasn't been in the business for that long, you know, in retrospect, but pretty quickly she established herself as a producer and started to produce films that focused on women's issues, produced films for herself so that she could be the character she wanted. And the other great thing about her, though, is producing something like Promising Young Woman and realizing I'm not the best choice for this. I'm going to back out of it.
Yeah.
So that's what you love to see.
Well, because the thing is, you don't have to be a godlike human being like Margot Robbie, who is clearly just like to some sort of crazy genius type, to just throw money at people that know better than you. Like if you have enough money, you can just hire somebody that you know is good at their job and be like, hey, I want to do something cool. Let's do something cool.
Yeah.
So and like it seems like that's what Ryan Reynolds does. It seems like he surrounds himself with people that do cool things, and he like wants to do cool things, and he seems to really have fun doing the things that he's doing. And like, can we talk about Detective Pikachu for a second? Because like,
oh my gosh,
that's the sort of film that like I was very skeptical of. I was like, this looks freaking stupid. What is going on? And it was delightful. And that was probably about the time so Detective Pikachu is probably the reason why I went into Free Guy being like, it's going to be enjoyable. No matter what, it's going to be enjoyable because I now trust Ryan Reynolds' judgment about what he should be in and what is going to be a good, delightful film. I like his taste in movies.
I'm so glad you brought it. I can't believe I almost just glazed over Detective Pikachu, which I just think it's wonderful.
Damn, Larry.
Pokemon is my jam. And I also was like, I mean, the Pikachu obviously was cute, but I was like, what are we doing with this whole concept? But yeah,
it was weird, right? It did not seem like it was going to work at all. And it worked really, really well. Yeah. So I respect the man a lot too, because I think he seems to have a really good sense of what's going to be entertaining. And oh God, I appreciate that too, right? Because we were talking about that. So you'll know we just recorded 3 podcasts in a row. But we were talking about this earlier, how sometimes there are films that are slow burns, and sometimes you have beautiful films theoretically, but they are fucking boring, or they're just they're too esoteric and there's too much. Yeah. And Ryan Reynolds understands when films should be entertaining. He really seems to understand what's going to make people laugh, what's going to make people come out of the movie theater being that was fun. I liked that. Right. Even though Free Guy had all kinds of flaws that otherwise I would have been
Yeah.
He knew that the core concept would be something that was enjoyable and entertaining, even if it wasn't a perfect piece of film.
Yeah.
It was fun to watch. And I appreciate that he's an entertainer, and he seems really focused on entertaining. That is his goal. He's not a snobby artist. He
has fun and wants us to have fun with him. That's kind of his MO.
He's your best. He's the dude.
He's our friend. We keep saying it, y'all.
He's America's best friend.
We believe it. We believe it, Ryan. You've sold us. We're your friends, whether you know it or not. That's the kind of brand you've cultivated. So
yeah, he's killed it. He's an incredible actor, piece of Hollywood, and never change, Ryan.
And I appreciate how often he was willing to take those clothes off throughout his career.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, not a problem.
Not Ewan McGregor flashing the front all the time, but it was still good. But well, that was our review for Free Guy and a quick discussion on Ryan Reynolds and his filmography. Hope you all enjoyed our review. If you did, make sure to hit that follow button on the podcast wherever you are listening right now, and let us know, what is your favorite Ryan Reynolds film and what did you think about Free Guy? You can hit us up on Twitter, Instagram, or if you're watching the video version, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Our Twitter and Instagram are both is Cinema Snarks. Ren, where can everyone find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at Ren Manley or on Instagram at RennyPoo13.
Perfect. And you can find me on Twitter at ChillyBoyYT and YouTube and Instagram at ChillyBoy Productions. We can't wait to hear all of your thoughts, so make sure to hit us up. And we cannot wait for you to come on back and get snarky with us on our next one. So we'll see you then. Bye.